Hello and welcome to this tutorial. My name is Geoffrey and I will be your instructor in this tutorial. So before we start, I want to remind you that the main goal why I decided to do this Python course is to make sure that everybody who watches this becomes a complete Python developer who is able to get a job in any company, or if you are a freelancer, you are able to handle any Python projects out there. So throughout this tutorial, I will be giving you exercises as we go along. Please don't just watch these tutorials. If you want to really be a Python developer, what you need to do is to set up your environment. I have a video for that. And also make sure that you are doing the exercises that I am giving you throughout this tutorial. I will give you an exercise, and for every exercise I will give you, I will also give a solution. So you really don't have a reason as to why you should not follow along and do all those exercises. So in this first tutorial here, I want to cover Python variables. And I will start by creating a new Python project. So what you need to do here, I have already initiated a project here. So I'll be creating files inside this project called Python here. If you don't know how to create a project in PyCharm, I'm using my IDE, the IDE that we installed in our last tutorial, that is PyCharm. Just go to File, and then go to Create Project, and this will take you through the process of creating a project. Just click on Create Project, and then the rest is just a wizard that takes you to next until when you're able to create your project. You can store a Python project in any directory of your machine. Where you store it doesn't matter, so just store it wherever you are comfortable. I have stored mine in on the desktop. Like as you can see, I have a folder in my desktop and I have called it Python. So this is where I'll be storing all the files that we are going to be doing in this tutorial. So let me open my project here, and like I said, just go to your project. So let me go to my Python folder here, and right click on it, right click on this, and go to New, and I want to create a Python file. You can either create a Python file or you can just create a file. The only difference is that when you click on file, you have to give an extension like .py. Of Python files will have an extension of .py, but when you click on Python file, the IDE, or in this case our PyCharm, will give the Python extension automatically. So let me click on Python file, and then I'll call this variables. You can call it any name again, it must not be variables. And like you see, I will not have to give it .py, but when the file is created, you can see it has a .py here. So I will start this by giving you a type of a variable called integer. And integers are just defined like in Python. How you define them? You can just do something like age, and I say age equals 20 or age equals 30. You don't have to do semicolons here like other programming languages. Python doesn't need that semicolon, so you don't need it absolutely. So what happens when you declare something like this? This is what is called a variable in Python, and because the number, the whatever is to the right of this variable declaration is a number, and in this case it must be a whole number. That is the only time this is referred to as an integer. So when you do this, what Python interpreter does is that it allocates some memory, and then it stores the number, whatever number you put here, in that memory. And now if I come here and just do something like print age, I will be able to print this age in the terminal, the output window. So if I just go to run, again, this is how you run Python projects. Just go to run and then click on run. And this is going to ask you which project you want to run. Let me click on variables. That is the project we have created. You realize that down here we have 30. This is the number that we have stored in our variable here. Our variable is age. So if I change this to 300 and then I click on run again, and that is the project I want to run, you realize that this one has been updated to 300. So that you can also update this variable by saying age equals, if I had another one here and then I said age equals 45 and then I click on run this project, this one is going to be updated to 45. The reason is because Python interpreter runs this project from up downward. So it will first of all allocate the 300 to age, and then when it comes to this line of code, it will replace 300 with 45. So 45 will be stored in that variable here, and when you are printing, 45 is what is going to be printed. So that is the first type of variable we have in Python. The second variable, let us assume that we have a name here, and this one we say name equals Geoffrey, and then we want to print name, or I can add another print here, print name. Okay, so when we do that, you realize that what is going to happen when we run our project, we are going to have two things running on in our terminal here. We're going to have Geoffrey and 300. Geoffrey is the name, and the kind of a variable this is a string. So this one, this kind of a variable we have here is an integer. The kind of a variable we have, let me copy this and put it up here so that we are able to give different variable types. The other variable type we have is a string. Okay, so we have two types of variables, and maybe what I need to do is move this one there so that we have integer printing, and then we have name printing, and then we have another type of variable in Python that is called float or floating point. And this one we have something like price. I don't know whether these are related, but don't worry, we just want to know the type of variables we have in Python. Let's say this one is 45.2, and then we have print price, and when we run this program, we are going to get 300, Geoffrey, and 45.2. So this is a floating point variable type. And then the one last variable type I'm going to be covering here is a Boolean, something like okay, let me first of all say Boolean, and then we have something like is new, something like that, and then we have something like true, and then we can print is new. All right, then we run this, we are going to get true. Okay, so we have integers, which are whole numbers. We have floating point, which are numbers with decimals. We have strings, which are any kind of a string you think, whether they are names or they are names of places, or it's a story you want to give here, it's a string. And then we have a Boolean. Boolean, we can either have true or false. False. So if you run this, notice that this is going to be changed to false. Okay, so we have Boolean types. We have false or true, and then strings is any kind of a string that you can think about. Integers are whole numbers, and floats are numbers with decimal points. Now Python can also handle more complex variable types like arrays, but we are going to be looking at that in future tutorials. For this tutorial, I want us to stop at these 4 integers. And this is the simple exercise that I want to give you. Assume that you are making a school management system. So let's assume that we are making a school management system, and this school management system, you need to store the data of students. So you have the student name. So do a system that is able to store a student name. It is able to store the age of the student, and then you are able to tell whether this student is a boarder or a day scholar. Make sure you do that exercise and check my solution in the next tutorial.